Hello, I want to walk through how to do the course with you all. Now, everything I'm saying here, I've put in the text in this on this page right above the video, but sometimes it's helpful to hear the information here and to kind of get it presented in a different way. So let me kind of walk you through the course in terms of ways to approach the material. So in each module, you have a lecture and an assignment. And the lectures are really the foundation of the course. There is a textbook that's assigned, and the way you can approach the reading is a couple of different ways. So what you could do is you could do the reading first. And because I'm using the American Women in Concise History, it's pretty concise, which I actually appreciate because it kind of gives you kind of like the rough outline, like this is like the key points, what you kind of need to know. And then you can kind of go into the lecture and get some more stories and kind of flesh it out a little bit more. So you may want to do the reading first. Again, usually it's a handful of pages. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but it's pretty consistent. Then you could go into the lecture and sort of work through that material. Now, another way to approach the reading is to work through the lecture, then go in and do the reading, kind of let the reading kind of back up what you just looked at in the lecture. Really, you could even do it a third way if you wanted to, and that would be while you have the lecture open, have the textbook open and just kind of, look at both of them as you're kind of working through the material. I'm reading here about Anne Bradstreet. Oh, here's Anne Bradstreet. I'm reading here about Pocahontas. I'm kind of thinking earlier in the course, and here's Pocahontas, right? So you could also look at it in that way. Okay, that's how to approach the reading in the course with American Women in Concise History. Now, for the lectures, and again, they're really the key foundation of our course, you want to approach these just like you would if we were in a face-to-face class. So this is the material that I would be giving you. I supplement it with, so I've written up, I've typed up, what I would say if I were standing in front of a class. And then I've sometimes put little videos like this one where like I want to further kind of explain a key term and kind of talk it through with you. There's also some external links. There's some documentaries to watch. Handful, I've got some primary sources to look at in the lecture too. At the start of each lecture though, I have an outline, and that outlines what you're going to see in the lecture. At the bottom of each outline, so again, top of the lecture, there's an outline, and then right underneath that outline are some key terms. There's usually at least 4, sometimes as many as 8. And they're usually like a person, maybe a document, an idea, main points, right? Things you need to know. As you're working through the lecture, you want to focus on those key terms, and they're going to be in bold. You're going to see them. The lecture is going to follow that outline format. What I would recommend doing is taking notes as you're working through the lecture. Now, I only am going to remember something if I write it down. Others, if you want to type it, that's fine too. Although brain studies show that the act of writing actually helps you remember it more, even today when we're typing all the time. So whatever works best for you, do that. But what I suggest maybe you do is if you're going to write it, right, get out a pen and paper and put down that outline, or maybe even just do like the first part of the outline, then read that section in the lecture, look at the links, the YouTube clips that I do, or the documentaries, and then write down what you learned underneath that part of the outline, and put it in your own words. Explain it like you're explaining it to somebody that doesn't know anything about this subject. Then, right, just kind of keep going through and doing that for each part of the outline. By the time you've finished working through a lecture, you should have about, a paragraph or so of notes for each key term. So you should be able to say about 5 to 7 sentences about each key term that's in lecture, or you've typed up about 5 to 7 sentences for each key term in lecture. Now, if you've gone through and taken notes for each of these lectures, and then, right, the same thing with your reading, right? If you're either doing the reading before or the reading after, you could kind of add in some of those notes from the reading in with your notes from the lecture. By the time the exam comes around, you're going to be set. You're going to be easily able to find that information, because the exams, there's 3 of them. They're based on those key terms. So I'll give you a study guide 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks before the exam. And the study guide will just have all the key terms on it. So it's not any new information. It's what you already have in the lecture. And then I'll give you here's some example short answer questions, and here's some example short essay questions. Don't panic about the word essay. I'll give you further instructions about how to do these exams as we get closer to the exams. But you're really just saying what you know about the key terms. And they are grouped. If it's an essay, they're kind of grouped around a common theme. If it's a short answer, it's a question about one of those terms, and you're going to answer what you know, what you kind of wrote down or typed up about that term. And again, if you've been taking notes throughout, the weeks as you've been working through these lectures, you already pretty much have all your answers there. You just have to put it into the exam. The exam is, it's not timed. You have it for 1 week. I'll release it on one day, and then it will be due a week later from when it was released. So your future self is going to really thank you, your past self, if you've been kind of diligently taking notes from these lectures as you've been working through the course each week. Okay, I think I've hit all the main points. Oh, one more thing I wanted to add. When you're working on these lectures, if something comes up and you're like, this isn't making sense to me, or this is frustrating me, maybe a topic or a subject or a person, you're like, put that in the discussion board that we have. There's a general discussion board for the course. And if you've got a question about something, you want to know more about something, put it there. You can always email me. We can always meet via Zoom. But I bet if you've got a question about something, I'm pretty certain somebody else does too, in part because I'll get multiple emails. So you're actually doing me a favor, saving me writing more emails, and also helping out your classmates. If you've got a question, you just throw it in that discussion board. It's any questions regarding our U.S. history class. It's a discussion board that stays open throughout the whole semester. You can put that there. All right. So again, make the reading work for you. Either read before the lecture, read after the lecture, kind of read while you're doing the lecture. And then again, key takeaway is those key terms, right? As you're working through the lecture, focus on those key terms, because those are going to be the basis of the exams that you have, the 3 exams. As always, if you've got any questions, if anything doesn't make any sense, please, please, please send me an email, put something in that discussion board. I can only help you if I know you need help. All right, take care.